Hello everyone, this is Falcon Laser, and in this video I'm going to show you a system you can get for the price of the Bose Lifestyle 535 Series 3, which is $3,500, and I'd bet you $20. And if you had 50 people listen to this system and a Bose Lifestyle 535 side-by-side in a blind test, over half would choose this system as the better sounding system. And the system I'm going to show you consists of Bowers and Wilkins 600 series speakers, which you've been staring at since the video started. They're the speakers on either side of that speaker in the middle there. Now yes, you may notice that they are big, and you may be thinking that people who want Bose don't want big speakers. And yes, I totally understand. And that's why I have other videos showing systems you can get for the price of Bose's Lifestyle systems that show small speakers that are better than them. However, I often hear people buy Bose because they think they're getting the absolute best sound quality for the money and believe the hype that Bose's cubes sound like or are better than big speakers. Well, nope, sorry. If you want the fullest, richest sound possible, there's simply no replacement for good quality big speakers. This is especially the case if you're looking for a good home theater system. I mean, the system I'm going to show you in this video will sound better than a commercial movie theater. Not only that, considering this system's big speakers quality, this video will also demonstrate how Bose's Lifestyle systems are incredibly overpriced for what you're getting in terms of build quality. So anyway, well, let's start looking at this system. First, for the surround speakers, we have the Bowers and Wilkins 686s, which are $550 a pair. Now these do have a mounting bracket on the back so you can mount them on the wall. But if you personally think they'd be a little bit too big to mount on the wall, you could instead get a pair of Bowers and Wilkins M-1 speakers, which are these things. They obviously are smaller than the 686s and would take up less room on the wall and be a little bit easier to mount. However, the drawback is they wouldn't be near as loud as the 686s. But it's really a matter if you think the trade-off is worth it. And these are $500 a pair. In fact, as an aside, I said at the beginning of the video that I know people like Bose's Lifestyle systems for their speaker's small size. Well, if you want a small speaker system, just get 5 of these along with the subwoofer and the AV receiver I'm going to show later in this video, and you'd have a small speaker system that I'd think you'd agree sounds better than the Bose Lifestyle 535 if you were to hear the two. Anyway, let's look at the center speaker. We have a Bowers and Wilkins HTM62, which is $450. I should say the center speaker actually is the most important speaker in a surround sound system, as most of the audio you hear in a movie comes from it. So you do want to invest in a really good center speaker. And for the front speakers, we have the Bowers and Wilkins 685s, which are $700 a pair. They're basically just bigger versions of the 686s. Okay, well how do all these speakers compare to the Bose Lifestyle 535's Jewel Cubes? Well, here's a picture of a new Bose Jewel Cube that I was able to sneak at a Bose showcase store. Bose has for the first time in nearly 20 years redesigned them. Unlike the older Jewel Cubes, a picture of which just appeared, they no longer have the direct reflex swivel mechanism, and they're a couple inches taller, being 6.2 inches tall instead of 4.5 inches tall. So the first obvious difference is this system's speakers are vastly bigger, which means there's simply more matter going into them. And aside from the plastic front panels, all of these Bowers and Wilkins speakers cabinets are made of wood, or more specifically MDF. While the new Bose Jewel Cubes, just like the old Jewel Cubes had, have plastic enclosures. While plastic isn't bad for a speaker enclosure, it's usually used when saving production costs is a factor, so it's inexpensive. While MDF, on the other hand, is typically a better and more expensive to produce material for speaker cabinets than plastic is. As for drivers, the 685s have a 1-inch aluminum dome tweeter, which is this thing, produces the high frequencies, and a 6.5-inch Kevlar mid-bass driver, which is this thing, that produces the mid-range and mid-bass. And the surround speakers and the center speaker have the same drivers, except their mid-bass drivers are 5 inches, and the center speaker here has 2 mid-bass drivers built in. As for the Bose Dual Cubes drivers, well, you can't see them in the picture of the new Bose Dual Cube. They appear to be similar, if not identical, to the dual 2-inch drivers that are in the old Bose Dual Cubes, which are made of barely treated paper, as you can see in the picture of the older Dual Cube, which is simply cheap and much cheaper to produce and not as good as Bowers and Wilkins aluminum and Kevlar drivers. Not to mention the Bose Dual Cubes have far less driver material going into them when compared to the Bowers and Wilkins speakers, and obviously they have a much smaller motor structure behind them compared to the Bowers and Wilkins speakers. So basically, all of these speakers in this system have vastly more enclosure and driver material going into them than the Bose Dual Cubes do, that is also higher quality and more expensive to produce than the Bose Dual Cubes material is. So there is no way you can say that Dual Cubes cost the same to make as these Bowers and Wilkins speakers. I mean, the center speaker here almost has more material going into it than all of the Bose Lifestyle 535 satellite speakers combined, and it's only $450. So that should just be a hint at how little it may cost to make the Bose Lifestyle 535 speakers. And this is what I mean by Bose's systems being overpriced. There is simply no way you can justify all Bose Dual Cubes and the horizontal center speaker costing the same as all of these speakers combined to make. I can tell you that given this, the markup on Bose's Lifestyle systems is insane. But now, you could argue that, oh, but you're paying for all the research Bose puts into their speakers, as Bose's motto is better sound through research. Well, as I said earlier, Bose first came out with the Dual Cubes 20 years ago, and they just now this year redesigned them for the first time. And it seems the change is mostly cosmetic. They still work the same way, have about the same build quality, and have about the same sound quality as an $800 to $1,000 home theater in a box system. So if Bose was really putting all this research into audio equipment design, one would think it wouldn't have taken 20 years to improve the design of one speaker, especially when the new design is mostly cosmetic. In fact, speaking of Bose's research, in my video Why Bose Speakers Are Overpriced, the Lifestyle 535, which is a video very much like this one except I show a paradigm speaker system costing the same as Bose's older Lifestyle 535 Series 2, I go into Bose's so-called research and speaker designs a little deeper, so watch that video if you want to know more. Anyway, let's look at this system's subwoofer. We have a Bowers and Wilkins ASW610, which is $650. It has a 10-inch driver and 200 watts of continuous power. But how does this thing compare to the Bose Lifestyle 535's Acoustimass module? Well, first of all, sub-bass frequencies, or any frequency lower than 80 Hz, need a lot of air movement to get loud, which means they require big drivers with a lot of excursion. And this subwoofer's 10-inch driver is about average for subwoofer sizes. The Bose Acoustimass module, on the other hand, has two 5¼ drivers inside a bandpass box. And the thing is, 5¼ drivers are simply too small to play good, loud, low sub bass. I can tell you this sub here can play the low, ground-shaking bass far louder than the Bose Acoustimass module can. I actually think that would be one of the first things you'd notice when comparing the two systems side by side, is this system would have a lot more ground-shaking bass. Anyway, as for an AV receiver, other than a bare-bones NAD receiver, which I don't think would appeal to the average person, this dealer here actually didn't have any AV receivers below $1,000 in stock. So for an example of one, I'm just going to go to the dealer I've always taken my videos at in the past. And that example of an AV receiver is a Yamaha Aventage RX-A740, which is this thing. It's $650, but we'll just round out up to $700. Now for this price, I'd also check out AV receivers from Denon, Pioneer's Elite line, Sony's ES line, and Integra. And in fact, Integra is Onkyo's high-end brand, so therefore I'd stay away from Onkyo. And I will put the names of $700 AV receivers from these brands in the video description. I would just not buy any of them from Best Buy unless it's in the Magnolia room. But anyway, All of these $700 AV receivers pretty much have the same key features. Some of the features that are in relation to Bose Lifestyle 535's Media Center is just like the Bose Lifestyle systems can. These AV receivers can stream music via Wi-Fi. They have a room calibration feature just like Bose's Adapt IQ. But then again, the Bowers and Wilkins speakers in this system are so much better than Bose's Jewel Cubes that no amount of room equalization could ever help the Bose speakers sound better. But one thing these AV receivers have that the Bose Lifestyle systems don't have is an iPod-iPhone connection via USB, which gives you full control over your iPod or iPhone via the AV receiver. Another thing is these AV receivers can pass through 4K Ultra HD video, which the Bose Lifestyle 535 can't. In fact, something that's really weird is unless Bose ever comes out with some sort of firmware updates, Bose's Lifestyle 535 and 525 can't pass through 4K video, yet the Bose Cinemate 520 system, which is far less money than both the Lifestyle systems, can. So why Bose would include a new industry standard feature on their low-end surround system but not on their higher-end systems is kinda weird, and doesn't make much sense. Anyway, now something that Bose's Lifestyle systems do have that these AV receivers don't have is a feature called Unify, which I think is the best thing Bose has ever come up with. It shows you how to connect your components to the media center and displays them in a scroll down menu, which makes changing and controlling components really easy. But with this system, you could get a URC, Logitech Harmony, or Nevo Universal Remote Control. That will do something similar. Here, I'll show you how my Nevo remote works. It has a touch screen, and I've programmed it to list activities like play music, watch movie, and auxiliary. And say I want to watch a movie, I just press it, and in one screen press, the remote will turn on everything needed for that activity, which includes the TV, the Blu-ray player, and the AV receiver. It'll set the AV receiver to the correct inputs, and it's ready to go. And the buttons on the remote will control the Blu-ray player for this activity. And the URC and Logitech Harmony remotes pretty much work the same, and they'd make the system arguably just as easy to use as Bose's Unify feature and how it lets you operate components. And these remotes range from about $200 to $300 in price. Anyway, well that's all the system's components. As for cables, and I know I may start a big fight here, but I'd suggest about $100 worth. That includes speaker wire and a subwoofer cable. I know cables are very controversial in the world of audio equipment. Some insist on expensive cables, while others swear expensive cables are snake oil. But again, I'd say $100 would be a place to at least start for the average person. I would just avoid getting rock bottom quality. Anyway, well, if you add up all the components in this system, it comes out to about $3,500. Now I know that sound quality is subjective, but as I said in the beginning of the video, I'd bet you $20 that if you got 50 people and had them listen to this system and a Bose Lifestyle 535 Series 3 in a blind test, over half would choose this system as the better sounding system. But hey, don't take my word for it. Go to a Bose only dealer, try to see if you can play your own music on a Bose Lifestyle 535. I'll say when I was at a Bose showcase store about a week ago, unlike in the past, they wouldn't let me play my own music on their Lifestyle systems. I'm not sure if this is a new rule that Bose's own stores everywhere have to follow, but still see if you can try to play your own music. If not, still give the Bose Lifestyle 535 a good listen. Then go to a Bowers and Wilkins dealer. In fact, Best Buy's Magnolia Room sells Bowers and Wilkins speakers. And if you go to one, I'd also check out some Martin Logan, Definitive Technology, Energy, and Wharfdale speakers if they have them while you're there. I'd also check out speakers from Paradigm, PSB, Focal, NHD, and KEF. But those brands are mostly sold at specialty dealers that aren't chains, so you'll need to do a dealer search for them. But anyway, give a listen to a $3,500 system from any of these brands. Hey, maybe you'll end up liking Bose better, but maybe not. You'll be glad you took the time to actually check out other brands first. And you know, the Bose Lifestyle 535 doesn't sound absolutely horrible. It'd be an awesome system for about $1,000, but $3,500 is absolutely nuts. It's like a Chevy Cavalier being sold for a BMW or Mercedes price. But anyway, well that's pretty much the video. But as an aside, speaking of this brand of Bowers and Wilkins, If you think I and others who don't like Bose because we can't afford it and are jealous of Bose owners, well, here's a pair of Bowers and Wilkins near top-of-the-line speakers, which are about $15,000 a pair, and are speakers many Bose critics greatly admire and would love to own. Yet many Bose critics can't come close to affording them. But according to the theory that Bose critics don't like Bose because they can't afford it, they should hate these speakers. But why don't they? I'll say I've been waiting years for someone to counter this argument, but no one ever has. So if you'd like to be among the first to try, I'd love to hear your counter-argument. Furthermore, the system I show in this video costs the same as a Bose Lifestyle system, and my own system here, which you earlier saw during the demo of my Nevo remote, is also worth about the same as a Bose Lifestyle system. So if I don't like Bose because I can't afford it, then why am I showing a system, and why do I personally own a system that costs the same as a Bose Lifestyle system? Again, this is another argument I've been waiting a long time to hear someone try to debunk, yet I've never had anyone try. So again, if you'd like to be among the first two, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Anyway, well, that's the end. Thanks for watching.